Well, we always love to go versus, so today we're going to go versus with the LG G6 just out on the market versus the Samsung S8 Plus.
Yes, and it's a nice versus because both are flagship phones, so we're going to try to help figure out which one is right for you.
Yeah, so features, well, I got to say, looking at the G6, especially for me, I really enjoyed the G5 camera. Some things that I think that they kept which differentiate from the S8, the dual camera on the back. That feature was big for me in the G5. I was really happy to see it, that they kept it in the G6 as well. So what does that mean? You have a wide angle camera as well as a narrow angle camera. And I found when I use the phone, I use that feature a lot.
Yeah, I remember when you first tried that with the G5, I was amazed at how wide it can get. With the G6, you can get up to 125 degrees wide angle lens, so you can capture just about everything. I've been trying the S8 Plus now, the camera. Oh my God, it is amazing. You know, I almost feel that like the pictures look like it came from a DSLR. Out of all the Android phones that I've tried in terms of the quality of the camera, this is probably the best. It would even probably rival the iPhone in terms of the quality of pictures that you get from the camera on the back.
I believe it because Samsung has always done a really good job at making sure cameras that their features are really good.
What really separated this from all the other phones that I've seen, especially after the whole Note 7 fiasco, is the display. It's what's called an infinity display, and you can look at it, it's virtually bezel-free. It curves onto the side, and it doesn't really make it feel that it's a bigger phone, but what you have is a 6.2-inch display. It's narrow, but it's longer. So even though the display is bigger, the actual phone is not that much bigger because it's bezel-free.
So from just a pure design perspective, I think that sort of edge technology, if I can call it that, is one of the nicest things about a design of a phone. I think that is absolutely beautiful. A little bit different with the LG G6. However, I was very impressed with what they did with the G6 as well. They made a different sort of aspect ratio. They went to 18:9, which is kind of a cool feature. Usually you see 16:9. So this, by making it a little bit longer, they get a 5.7-inch screen, but it also feels really nice. And they're using an IPS screen, which is very similar to what they do in their televisions as well. And from a brightness standpoint and an overall clarity standpoint, I thought the screen was beautiful.
Another interesting about the S8 Plus is they removed the physical button. On it now is right behind the screen. So when you tap it, you can actually feel that button on the back.
I'm your Google Assistant.
Hi, Google Assistant.
Yeah, you got Google Assistant.
Find what you need and get things done.
Speaking of Google Assistant, that is also featured in the G6 as well.
Yep, I was happy to see that Google Assistant was in there. And you have another type of assistant with more Samsung bloatware.
That's right. Well, I wouldn't call it bloatware, AJ, but it is a new feature that they're trying to do. It's called Bixby, and if you press this button, it will activate Bixby. It's basically a personal assistant that Samsung is trying to create to rival Siri, to rival what Google Assistant, and to also with the Amazon Echo speakers with their Alexa. It's basically trying to predict and give you the information that you're looking for. However, at launch, Bixby wasn't really rolled out properly, so I think over time they're going to update the software to make it more customizable for the end user.
Let's talk a little bit about horsepower because the S8 Plus does come out a little bit on top because the Snapdragon, they've got the 835 and I've got the 821, but both phones are featuring 4 gig of RAM built into them, so from a memory perspective, they're comparable, which makes switching between different apps a lot faster.
Yeah, and whether you have the Samsung Galaxy S8 or the S8 Plus, pretty much under the hood is virtually the same except for maybe the battery. This one has a 3500 milliamp battery, which I've been using this and it lasts all day long, even though you have a bigger screen and a really bright display.
Just going back to overall design of the phone, because I think that is a big reason why you sort of choose the phone that you have. I should just say, switching from the G5 to the G6, you can see that they've really removed the curve out of it. It used to be more of a curved display, whereas now it's a little bit more straight on. But I must say that this sort of metallic-like silver finish and that IPS screen that kind of runs almost bezel-less to the top really does make this a premium category phone.
One thing I have to say I didn't like about the S8 Plus, AJ, is if I turn it around, you can see that the fingerprint is now right beside the lens. And this is hard because I keep hitting the lens and I start smudging it up and then it gives you a notification that it's smudged. It's kind of hard. It's really small. I like on the G6 how it's right in the center on the back. And this is also loves fingerprints, man. It just, like if you're a criminal, you do not want to use this phone because your fingerprints will be everywhere.
I think you leave them everywhere anyway. You're just going to see them on this one. But I got to say, for two premium phones coming from two competing manufacturers, I think you or I would easily own either of these devices.
I'd probably go with the Samsung.
Yeah.
Yeah, just because I've been using it a lot. The G6 I haven't used as much, but you can't go wrong, like AJ says.
I had
with
the
either of these
G5,
phones.
so I was really excited about seeing the G6 and probably would keep it if we didn't have to send it back.
So if you're in the market for a flagship phone, you got to check it out. The Samsung Galaxy S8 Plus and,
Do you want me to say it?
sure,
The LG G6.
check them out.